Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Red EDC. Another petrified fish to check out. Petrified Fish has been very generous to the channel, and I do thank them very much for doing so. But this is the Tena. Now, as you can see there, you've got G10, and you've got that sort of, heart monitor EKG looking milling going on there on the handle. Very interesting. Kind of an interesting choice there. Got a little pop of purple going on. I like that. I like that. But before I go any further, guys, I gotta tell you, I've got an interesting little tidbit for those of you that have been with the channel for a little while. I've got an interesting little bit of info about this knife. I found it interesting anyway. Hope you do too. But anyway, back to this. So, you've got the wire clip going on. Sure does look like it's potentially reversible. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, I don't think so. No, there's cutouts there. No cutouts there. I'm sorry, lefties. I'm sorry. It's not lefty friendly. It is lanyard friendly, so we can make the lanyard fans hopefully happy with this one. But lefties, I'm sorry. Now, the obvious glaring point of this knife is this right here. The pretty large front flipper tab. Now, we've all heard my thoughts on front flipper tabs like that, and we're probably going to hear them again. But overall, fit and finish, we don't have nested liners here. Got a little letterboxing going on with those liners. The liners do extend out past the scales there, so we got a little bit of letterboxing going on. But liner lock, overall fit and finish is pretty darn good. Now you can tell you start out with a pretty good piece of steel there. D2 on the blade steel, but centering looks pretty good. My only thing is, when you rub across this every once in a while, it does feel a little bit sticky, possibly. And I mean, it does kind of aid in the grip, that milling going on, your sort of EKG milling there. It does kind of aid with the grip. So very interesting. And then you've kind of got this, sort of faux bolster, if you want to go with that look going on there. But a very, very interesting, very predominant front flipper. So, the interesting little tidbit that I wanted to share with you guys, right? I talk about my friend Johnny at work. He has a little bit larger hands than I, so I take knives to him a lot and say, hey, give me your thoughts on this. What do you think? How does it fit you? And if you remember, he he hates front flippers. He does. And the reason he does is because I guess at one point he has injured his thumb, and that motion is not good for him. I mean, he's near 50 years old, When you get older, things start to hurt a little more, I guess. But he doesn't like it. And I took him this knife, and I was like, hey, it's front flipper. I get it. It's got a fairly protruding front flipper. Not my favorite either. But I was like, just, give me a feel. And the one thing he said he really liked, obviously, is the contour, which it does have some really nice contour going on. Makes it very comfortable that way. But, I give it to him. First thing he always says when I get him a front flipper, I hate it. It's not even, he doesn't even, I hate it. Okay, I know. Just look at it, okay? Just give it a work. And he's like, all right. And he goes, and, he just like, pow, pops it open. And he's like, wait a minute. I'm like, what? And he closes it again. And that was a pow. And he's like, he just keeps doing it. And he's like, okay. This is the first front flipper you've given me like this where my thumb hasn't hurt opening it. I'm like, interesting. Very interesting. Because I'm even low profile. It doesn't matter. Never has mattered. But he has always told me it hurts his thumb. Not with this one. So I was like, okay, that's very, very interesting. And I know, you know what, it might not be interesting to you, but it is to me and my interactions with him and, you know, figuring out knives and thinking about them and stuff to pass on to you guys that watch the videos. And I just thought that was very, very interesting. But okay, tidbit over, sorry. So it does have a and it's sort of a very unique looking front flipper. Normally, you know, they're pretty straight, but this has just got a little bit of design going on with it. Now, I will say, these large protruding front flippers are not my favorite. They're not. This is very different from a knife we saw recently, a larger knife with a larger front flipper, because I don't have to reach out there as far. Where my hand naturally lands, right? It's right there behind the sort of the full bolster. When I open it, you can see that it's not hitting me. It's not hitting me like the previous one was. So I don't have to readjust my hand or reach out there too far. And I tell you what, I don't even have to go that high, to be honest with you. I can get this tip right here. You see? That little nose, if you will, sticking out there. And it flips very easily. And it flips very well. So that is not an issue. That is not an issue at all. It's just, I guess for me, in an issue like that, it's just more of an aesthetic thing. I like more clean lines, you know, the lower profile, just something kind of sticky out. It's the same way with a thumb disc or something, you know. For me, it's aesthetics. Because it does work. It works fine. There's no issues whatsoever. Now, you've got a pretty straightforward drop point blade. And you've even got the little swedge going on there up front. Looks kind of nice. Just gives a little flair to the blade. Like I said, it's coated D2 black wash blade going on there. It's got a nice looking black wash. And overall, it's got a nice little choil too. Choil kind of going on there. Yeah, no smile, no nothing. Looks good. Looks good. So, let's give it the wiggle wobble. Nope. No wiggle wobble. Now, again, this is a pretty large knife. I mean, you're looking at 8.5 inches. It's a definitely large knife. Handle, you're looking at, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 5/8. It's just a little over 4.5, which is going to give you about a 3 3/4-ish, maybe just a hair more on the blade. Cutting edge is going to be more like 3 3/4. There, it's just a hair under, I would say. And then your grip length, plenty of grip length. You're looking at about, well, right about 3.5. A little bit more. I'd say that's 3 3/4. Where was I measuring? You know, it looks like 3.5, but you guys know, when I put 3.5 in my hand, it's usually right there. So it is a little bit more. It's a little bit more than 3.5. So now, size comparisons, of course, we will do those. We'll throw the bug out there because that's what we do. Obviously, at 8.5 inches long, it's much longer than the bug out, and we'll get the PM2 out there. Definitely still longer than the PM2 by a good 1/4 inch on the handle, and not so much, or a 1/4 inch on the blade, excuse me, and maybe 1/8 inch on the handle. So there you go. But all right, let's get a weight. What are we coming out? Definitely has some weight to it. 5.3, not too bad for the size. I mean, if we go the ounce per inch on the blade, sure, it's over. I have never really paid much attention to that, to be perfectly honest with you. 148 grams. And then our pocket carry. Deep-ish, but you will still have some peekaboo. I mean, it's not super deep carry or anything, but not bad. And as far as grip, oh yeah, definitely grips that seam. I don't have any worries about that one going in here. And it does kind of grip on the texturing of that G10 as well. So my overall thoughts. Now, before I go there, I'm going to try this. I've done it a few times. I'm usually not very good at it, but yeah, see, I can't do it behind the camera. Let's see if I can do it over here. Yeah, I did it over there. I top flipped it. I actually top flipped it. Now, it might not be the most comfortable, as you can see, but if you're into that, if you like top flipping knives, have maybe just a little bit larger hands than what I do, Johnny, he wasn't really a top flipper, so I don't even know if he even tried, to be perfectly honest with you, because he does have a little bit longer fingers, bigger hands, but you know, overall, we'll go positive. We'll go the positives first. My thumb, natural grip. My thumb lands right above, you know, that sort of guard right there, and it actually feels pretty darn good. Now, since we're angled forward and I'm coming off of that, I think I would like a little bit of jimping there. Jimping is either take it or leave it. If it's done right, it's done well, great. If it's not there, it's never usually an issue. I think I could benefit from some. Just, I don't know. I do. I think I could benefit from some jimping there. Now, that wire clip, I feel it more than I want to. Right there. And kind of up here a little bit. Now, I could definitely see where somebody would call it a hot spot. Am I going to go that far? I think it's because of the handle width. Where are we at with that? I mean, if you take the pocket clip into consideration, you're about 3/4 of an inch. It does stand up pretty high, fairly far down, so you can see a little bit better if it's on the white. But as you can see, it does protrude out a little bit. And I can definitely feel it more than I would like. Hot spot, it's borderline. I'll put it that way. It's borderline. I think if I was going to use this real hard use, it might get a little, I could definitely maybe not like it so much. But it's not too bad. Just your regular one cut and go. It's a pretty straightforward knife. I mean, it's got a little flair to it. You've got the milling on the handle. You've got the ridge there. It's simple with a little pop. And you've got the pop of color on the back spacer as well. So it's got a little bit of flair. We'll call it that. Access to the liner, very good. Oh, and it's a dropper. I just felt that. Trust me. It is a dropper. You guys said, why do you do that? Well, you know, it happens sometimes. You play with knives, you're going to get cut. I don't think I'm going to show anything crazy there, but I felt it. Definitely felt it. But now the front flipper. Let's go there. I'm not my favorite. Not my favorite. I love a much lower profile front flipper. Yeah. And it really doesn't need to be that high because I can come right here and flip it perfectly. So you could probably remove that much of this front flipper and it still be perfectly fine. Now, you wouldn't be able to top flip it. And like I said, I cannot do it in front of the camera. It's hard for me to do it just because of my hand size. Yeah, it's not going to happen in front of the camera. Sorry, guys. My apologies. But a little bit larger hand, a little bit longer fingers. You could probably do it without much effort. Now, here's the big kicker. It's a good size knife. G10, D2. These things are selling for $39. That is not bad at all. If you're into the front flippers and everything like that, this is a pretty darn good budget option for you. I've had a lot of petrified fish knives, never had an issue with one of them. There's been a few designs, that I've had been like, but as far as the make, the quality, the build, never, ever, ever had an issue with them whatsoever. And for $39, I think this is a pretty solid knife. The Petrified Fish Tena, it is. I do have to say thank you very, very much to Petrified Fish for sending this one out to check out. Yeah, that's what I did. And I gotta thank you guys for stopping by and checking it out with me for sure. So, as always, guys, greatly appreciate you. Like, subscribe, leave me that comment. I love talking to you. Until next time, I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.